Hey everybody, welcome to the fourth installment of my lesson series. Today I thought we'd tackle Death Letter Blues by Sunhouse. I'm in open G tuning as he is on a lot of his recordings, and that is D, G, D, G, B, D. That's the whole tuning, all right? And he plays with a slide, as I do. So let me just start by playing you the intro. That's the whole intro. Now, the verse, I'm going to play it the way I play it. I've simplified it a little bit so that I can sing with it, and it's not a problem for me. So here's how I do that. And he does that, it's just over and over. And if you ever watched a video on YouTube of him playing this live, it looks like his hand is just slinging, you know. I mean, it's really going. So he's beating the life out of that guitar. So let's start with the opening riff, the intro, all right? All you're going to do, that's the intro. All right, so you start by grabbing the low D string. I use my second finger and I bend it up a little bit at the 3rd fret. All right, then I play the D and G strings in the middle. Here, these two. All right. And then I take my slide and on those same 2 strings, I start at the 3rd fret and slide up a little bit and then immediately come off and play it again. Alright, I'm not just going, I'm going, as you can see here, I'm plucking it twice. Then I just take the slide and I go to the 5th fret on the high D and go. Now, what's cool about Sunhouse's sound is he does get some of that weird scritchy scratch in there, and there's a lot of vibrato going on in what he does. So to get that sound, you basically are going to I take my slide, put it on the 5th fret on that string. I don't actually push down on the guitar. I'm pretty light the way I touch it. And then I rock my hand back and forth. I do it fast, okay? The way I do that, I lightly touch the strings with this finger, and I anchor on the back with my thumb. Let me see if I can get turned where you can see it. So when I'm doing that, it looks like this from the back. See how I'm just anchoring? That's how I do all my vibrato on slide. All right, and it seems to work out pretty well for me. Now, that's just something I came up with on my own. So you're more than, you know, welcome to it. It's a great technique for me. All right, so that's the intro. 2nd finger, 3rd fret, low D, bend up. And I do pull towards the floor. Then take your 1st finger and pluck up on the D and G strings. And then I even use my 1st finger to go. When I take the slide and lay it on the 3rd fret on the D and G. Now, that 2nd hit, this one, I'll bring the thumb down and hit it. So watch. Right? Sorry, I messed up a little bit. What it does is it gets my fingers in position to grab the high D string and have my slide on the 5th fret. And I usually end up doing that with any of these 3 fingers. It just depends on how it hits. Okay, so that's the whole intro. Now, the verse. All I do, it's a... That's the rhythm. So I'm taking my thumb and hitting the G string And probably I might hit them all. You want to create kind of a wall of sound. But then I'll take my middle finger and put it on the 3rd fret on the G string in the middle like this, and so I'll do 2 bends, and I push up because I want the B string to ring out with it. Right? Because I want it to have that sound where he's trying to meet it. He never quite does, but... Right? So I go bum, 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 boom, bum, 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 bum. Here's this hand. Okay? And what I'm doing after that, I'm doing bum, bum, hitting that low G, and then hitting that bend again, bum, and then everything's open. Then I play the 2nd fret on the D string. And then play the G string open. Okay? So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory as well. It's not a super tough song. The next thing that when I watched the videos, I caught this. And that is Sunhouse will slide into this C chord, right? Like that. He takes his finger. It's the same rhythm, but he's sliding in, and he's barring the 5th fret to make the C chord on the top 5 strings. So he's barring the G, D, G, B, and D at the 5th fret. And he's basically sliding in. So all he's doing there is he's getting that 7th by reaching up with his, he uses his 2nd finger. I don't have hands big enough. But I reach up with my 3rd finger and catch the top D string on the 8th fret, excuse me. And off and on. 8, 8, 5, 8, 5. 8, 8, 5, 8, 5, boom. And what you want is that bump, 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 bump. That's the kind of a rhythm you want there. So he slides in, so he's going. Back to that riff. Then he's going to go up here. And he does exactly the same thing, but this time he's doing it sliding up onto the 7th fret and letting his finger, his 3rd finger, or my 3rd finger, come up to the 10th fret on the high D. So it's 10, 10, 7, 10, 7, right? And back down to the 5th fret. And excuse me, when he comes back down, when he comes out, he does again the opening riff. Now, the key to part of getting his sound is that vibrato on the slide. And I know that's a relatively small part of the song, but it's very recognizable what he's doing there. So, let me talk about that a little bit and some ways that you can work that up. Because it took me a while to get that together, right? I was trying to go with no anchoring. I was going with no damping behind, and it wasn't sounding great. But when I learned that I could anchor my thumb and just go, you definitely want to have an anchor. So when you're playing slide, you don't want, like if you were going to fret there, you would just put your finger in the middle of the fret mark, right? Wouldn't matter where you put it. With a slide, your slide's floating above everything. All right, and it's kind of becoming the fret, because that's what the fret's job is to give your string a place to rest and then ring. So what happens is as you shorten your strings, the vibrations get to be more, they get quicker, and that makes the pitch go up. So you're doing that with a slide, you know. It'll do that. Now, what you have to remember with a slide is this, the actual fret, is what you're aiming. That's your target, not this. Look, I'm where my finger was. And I'm flat. You know why? Because when I press down, the string rests on the metal fret. So with a slide, you want to go on top of that fret. Right? You can get sharp. And then I use the vibrato a lot. And that actually covers up a lot of mistakes that you can make, you know. And it sounds better. Wow, 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 instead of just flat. So, if you're having a problem with that, try playing different scales, you know, using the slide. You can do a C scale. Give each note a little vibrato, okay? And it'll help you. Right? Try playing chords that way. Make sure you're getting it in tune. If you can't hear it real well, I used to use a tuner, right? And set it up just like harp players do when they're learning to bend. Get a tuner, set it up, make sure I'm hitting the right note exactly. So those are all techniques you can use. Now, as far as like a C scale, when you're in G tuning, it looks like this. You start on the 5th fret on the G string, 7th fret G string, 5th fret B, 6th fret B, 8th fret B. Now, that's all normal, right? Because the 3 middle strings really are the same as standard tuning. Then, you have to jump up to the 7th fret on the D string, and then you'll have the 9th fret on the D string and the 10th fret on the D string. And that's where the high C is. So. And this can also help you in learning to do finger blocking, which we're going to talk about in another lesson. But anyway, good luck with this. I hope you enjoy it. Listen to Sunhouse. I love Sunhouse. Fantastic. And if you have any questions, as always, just contact me. Comment here, comment on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you see this. Ask me the question. Have a good week, everybody.